Elias. We've spoken about the birth of civilization, how farming led to cities, and cities led to the rise of empires. But there's something missing, something that made all of this possible: writing. Tell me, how did it all begin?
Ah, Orion. Writing was not born out of poetry or philosophy. It was born out of necessity. It began with numbers, not words.
Numbers?
Yes. You see, in the first great cities Uruk, Memphis, Harappa trade flourished. Merchants needed to track goods. Farmers needed to record harvests. Temples needed to collect taxes. But memory was unreliable. So, they began marking symbols on clay simple shapes representing cattle, grain, oil.
The first records? Bookkeeping.
Exactly. At first, they were mere tallies lines and dots, pressed into clay tablets. But as society grew more complex, so did these symbols. What began as numbers soon evolved into pictograms, then ideograms. Over generations, those symbols turned into something extraordinary: language preserved in stone.
So writing didn't emerge for storytelling, but for survival?
Precisely. The Sumerians, around 3200 BCE, developed cuneiform wedge-shaped marks pressed into wet clay. This wasn't just a way to count grain, it was a tool of power. Kings recorded laws. Temples documented offerings. Trade agreements were set in stone, making promises unbreakable.
And yet writing became so much more.
Once humans could record their thoughts, ideas outlived their creators. Knowledge no longer had to be passed down through memory alone. Wisdom could travel across generations, across lands. Writing made history possible. Without it, everything we know about the past would have been lost to time.
Laws, contracts, religion, all of these were shaped by the written word. But tell me, Elias, was there a moment where you realized just how powerful writing had become?
I remember standing in Babylon, watching scribes carve the Code of Hammurabi onto a great stone pillar. It was the first time that laws were not whispered or decreed by word of mouth, but set in stone for all to see. It meant justice could be written, preserved, and enforced.
That changed everything. With writing, rulers could shape the future.
And not just rulers, Orion. Writing freed knowledge from the minds of men. It gave birth to stories, myths, legends. It turned simple merchants into scholars, and empires into legacies. It was writing that built the great libraries of Nineveh and Alexandria, and writing that ensured the names of kings and warriors would echo through eternity.
And yet writing also became a tool of control.
Ah, there it is. Power. Those who controlled the written word controlled the people. For centuries, only the elite could read and write. Knowledge was hoarded, guarded, but eventually, writing spread beyond the palaces and temples. And when that happened, revolutions were born.
Revolutions?
Think of it, Orion. The first time common men could read laws for themselves, they could challenge rulers. The first time knowledge was copied onto scrolls, ideas could spread. The first time a scribe wrote a poem, humanity gained a voice that would never be silenced.
And with writing came history itself. Without it, we wouldn't even know about the rise of ancient Egypt, the glory of Rome, or the tragedies of fallen empires.
Exactly. And speaking of Egypt, Orion, do you know what civilization perfected the written word beyond all others?
I think I can guess. Egypt.
Yes. The land of pharaohs, where the gods spoke through hieroglyphs, and the greatest monuments ever built carry the names of kings who wish to be remembered forever.
So, Elias, tell me, how did writing shape the destiny of Egypt?